Hello, everybody. My name is Tyler, and this is Ryan. Welcome back to the brand new episode of the podcast where the points don't matter. And my hair has been unkept. I need to cut this hair because small talk, because like this upcoming weekend, Joanna and I am going to go to a wedding, and I am scared of carbs because that's going to promote bloating. So I want to make sure I fit my clothes, and I want to make sure I don't look like a I feel like a sausage sometimes whenever I see pictures of like me, especially with the upcoming cut video. I saw a snippet of me in their, I think Amazon or Netflix paid video, and I look a little bloated. Like this neckline looked a little bit thicker in the video, and I don't know if it's because of my diet leading up to the shoot, but definitely I understand some people's preference to a keto diet leading up to shoots because of the properties of starchy foods or starchy rice where you hold in a little more water, and don't want to look like that when I'm at the wedding. So I don't know. That might just be me. But how have you been?
Cut out water for 7 days. That'll fix it.
Oh, 7 days off. Dehydration's. I've if I remember correctly, Ronnie Coleman won his first Olympian when Jay Cutler suggested him like drink the night before competition because of how much dehydrating that was. I think it was like a full bottle of tequila, non-brand tequila, and then some that he convinced Ronnie Coleman to drink, and it gave him a much veinier granite look in compared to the proper diet he had leading up to it. So yeah, just like if I drink for from Wednesday to Saturday, I'm gonna look pretty dehydrated all day, every day,
Yeah, I mean,
without
I would say
alcohol
if you do that,
poisoning.
especially if you do that without eating, I could definitely see that working.
Mm-hmm. Because I think that was the strategy for like what Ronnie Coleman did at the help at the suggestion of his friend Jay Cutler. But yeah, Ryan. Hey,
Well, dang,
hmm?
maybe don't do that, but
Don't do that.
it's up to you.
Yeah, because
It's up to you.
my cheeks are cheeky, and it could be slimmer. I could have the rock cutting jawline that you got, but I don't have that genetics. I was meant to have like a round face, and the assumption that like every Asian looks like a descendant of Buddha. So what can I say?
Well, I don't think my genetics are like at the tip of the iceberg there either, but I appreciate it.
I would argue that your jawline makes you look like you actually lift versus me, where I just like look like a little cheeky. So that might assume that the rest of my body might be a little um, thick as well. So what can I say?
Well, you,
that's the programming I had when I was growing up, where
you,
you're
you
only
and
fat.
you and Eddie Hall.
Eddie Hall.
Yeah, Eddie Hall doesn't have the beastly jawline that you'd think someone of that size would have, but he still lifts
Yeah, Eddie Hall.
clearly.
Eddie Hall is a monster entirely upon him on his own because he is a he is a high level strongman competitor. So he will not care if you think of him as not the sexiest man alive. He will pick you up and use you as a warm up before his actual workout. You are the dumbbell before his proper dumbbells. If you were to piss him off, and then of course his son knocks him down a couple of times because I follow him on social media, and there's been a few times to where he's messing around with his kid, and his kid would land a shot at his like good old family jewels and gets him on his knees real quick. No better way to bring him down to his knees than providing his kids and his wife.
No amount of muscle will stop that. That's for sure.
No amount of muscles will stop you from getting curb stopped in the dick for sure. Anything you want to any what you been up to? Any small talk you want to bring up? I know we talked about your recent dieting and fitness, but anything else? To flavor
Um,
text, huh?
I got nothing. I mean, I'm probably just gonna cut all my hair off after this call.
Like how much?
Um, I'm just gonna cut the whole thing, get rid of
Oh,
all the mess in the back and everything like that.
you're not gonna go for
Uh,
the dirty Joe Dirt look, man? For the amazing mullet that he had.
I tried too many times along this hair journey that it kind of, I don't know. I now don't want to. I feel like it was kind of fun to do that when other people weren't doing that, but now it's
Mhm.
kind of popular to do that, and
It's
that's when I like to
popular to
switch it
do.
up
It's popular to grow out your hair, or just the style.
to
Because
do
you,
to like have like a mullet. Like everyone has like the shittiest mullet right now, and I'm not trying to be a part of that. You know.
I gotta let you on a secret. The majority of the time, when people do mullets or like wavy like hair parting styles, they're mostly just lazy to cut their hair. Which, of course, the process takes as easy as like 5 to 10 minutes with a razor, and to clean it up takes twice as long. But if you were to go in there and just like dig the shear and buzz off parts of your hair that you don't like, it's an easy process. But the majority of people don't have the brain cell to do that, as much as the lack of brain cells to exercise if they can in the week. Like, I don't care if you exercise every day, but if you can't put out 1 day a week, maybe 15 minutes once a week to do something active, then there's a problem with your priorities. But that's my opinion as someone who has felt better since exercising every day, no matter how light or heavy it is. But like, yeah, like with the when it comes to like hairstyles, like I do, the mullet look can look good on certain people, and no one would argue with you because of how smoldering your boulders are. Like whenever you have your t-shirt on, whenever we go to the base of space, you wear that t-shirt and there's like they're distracted by your boulder shoulders. That's like your hair is resting on. So hey,
I mean, that's the thing is obviously this is like no one would see this and be like, "Whoa, that's a sick mullet."
and then
But
turn it
it's because
around.
well, not even because I tried so many times to like get it to like a good point, and then I
Mm-hmm.
eventually just gave up and just grew out everything. But I wish I hadn't had tried to go for a mullet so many times because if I had just grown out everything, I would enjoy it a lot. I try to think of it as, I mean, I'm definitely when I cut it, my goal is to just get back to having long hair, but have long hair in a more proportionate amount.
Okay, like
Um,
even.
and yeah, like a lot more even. I'm just not trying to go in and like get a professional to do it. I'll just do it myself and then cut my losses and regrow it. And then, hopefully when the hair grows, the strength grows as well. And I'll feel
The
just feeling like
strength.
Samson, you know.
Okay.
It's my
Okay.
secret. That's my secret to my strength is the long hair.
Ah, you got the longer like there's been I've seen posts of people where they would continue to grow their hair until they have like a beach body like body, and that's like an alleged challenge that some people do, which is to some people it's great, and to others you might want to cut your hair because it doesn't improve the way you look. But it's pending, you know. Sometimes people wear the man bun despite all of it, and what can I say? Like, if you have the long hair and like the chiseled abs and biceps, you're practically Tarzan for the most part.
Yeah, see, exactly. That's the thing is, I mean, I can do both. I can
Yeah, that's the
definitely,
goal. Some people want to look like
I look,
Tarzan.
I look fine with both long or short hair. I can, like I think if you put my current hair on
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people, they'd look just awful. But for whatever reason, I it's not as dominating over my appearance, I guess. So whether it be short, whether it be long, I can kind of do both. But I prefer having long. Whenever I cut it, I always end up missing it. Just having like something to mess around with, or
Mm-hmm.
um, having the ability to like shake it around or something like that. Like the short is just it's not for me, but it's going to be necessary to get it where I want to go.
Right. For me, I need the short hair. I need the shorter hair because of my work profession, and mostly because of like my glasses. Like, if it covers my glasses, I have a problem because I'm gonna always like try to sweep to the side. Like, huh, I can't see. I cannot see the line. I can't see still. Open your eyes, idiot. It's either the lack of eyes that most Asians have, or the fact that it covers our eyes. So like, I need to sweep it aside all the time because of like my glasses lifestyle. Otherwise, if I had relatively perfect vision, then I probably would not mind having the long hair to cover my face. Compared to my cousin, who
But
looks like a penis. He is
I think you
his
get.
hair.
Do you have like super straight hair though?
I like I don't know what it means to have straight hair, but like if I just
I feel
if
like
I
you
just,
got like at least a little bit of a wave to it. I feel like if you grew it out, it doesn't necessarily need to be like all bangs. You could definitely like sweep it back and just have like a little bit of a flow going on. That would be you could be professional like that for sure.
professional. Thank you, thank you. Today, the big news today. As of this recording, uh, I will put the link in the description of the video. But Wario 64, I love um Twitter, the Twitter tag. Sorry, is it Twitter or is it still X? I still call it Twitter because like I got
Um,
educated.
I mean, I just call it what it is. It's
Yeah,
X now.
X. It's
You know,
X. Yeah, it's a hard progression
I
though.
I didn't use Twitter, so for
uh,
me it's easier to transition.
yeah, because oh, okay, oh yeah, so I guess that would matter because it upsets the majority of who like lived on Twitter to like, hey, why are you changing my home, dude? I've been living like this for the longest time, and you just change it on me. But but again, like X, Wario 64 posts from November 11th. Microsoft will no longer allow unauthorized third-party accessories to be used with its Xbox consoles. According to sources, the MS plans to expand its program for approved third-party wireless controllers. Okay, like reading off the cuff, that hurts me because I remember growing up with um, the Mad Cats with third-party controllers having an Xbox because the Xbox was really expensive as it is. The controllers were as expensive as it was, and third-party controllers were as easy as $20 or $30 per controller for me. What was your experience growing up in gaming and Xboxes?
I had an Xbox for a very short amount of time, like a 360. I think I had like the arcade, the white one.
360?
Um,
Okay.
yeah, and I never had like the original Xbox or anything like that. But I used like a couple third-party controllers when I was using my GameCube before that. So I guess that doesn't really apply here. However, I will say,
But
I
I
think
think it
towards the
does,
end of
but
my days,
continue.
playing PlayStation, I was definitely using like Scuff or Evil controllers. Shout out to Evil controllers. They make a way better controller than Scuff does. Scuff is the brand name in the space when it comes to like modded controllers having
Okay.
extra buttons on the back. But my experience of going through three of them in like 3 months with like no damage at all, like I didn't drop them, didn't do anything, treated them like a $250 controller, which is what they were. Evil makes way superior controllers and designs. And so, yeah, if I were to turn on my PlayStation and not be able to use that controller, that would piss me off, rightfully
Hmm.
so.
Right. And I remember like even like with the GameCube days when we would play um like Melee and Brawl, uh those Mad Cat controllers or like clear third party controllers that looked like GameCube controllers was like a living legacy in my house because we would have boxes of just like third party controllers because our cousins wanted to come in, but we don't want to spend the $40 for someone who is not going to come as often. But I could spend $20, and the other notes I'm pulling up. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and link you the thing as well. Oh no, the behind the scenes is broken. But I sent you a link of the article from the Twitter post, and it discusses more about what it means. But I'm just gonna go over the highlights that the article says, and then I'm
Ooh,
gonna hopefully,
driving wheels.
yeah, I'm gonna
I just
also,
realized in the picture that's actually a huge one is that you wouldn't be able to play racing games with third-party driving wheels. That is actually probably the thing that's going to drive a lot of people away from Xbox, I would imagine.
yeah, because like this is like this article is regarding just Xbox, uh, alone, because like they will no longer authorize third parties to be used with the Xbox controls. Like the current like targeted right now at this article is specifically the console Xbox and its accessories. And the problem is, like, if this goes well, and it probably will because the company is a company, it's gonna then it's the issue for this one. I think is a bigger problem when you look at other consoles. When you look at, are we looking at accessory specific tools for PC going forward, for PlayStation going forward, for Nintendo? Is that's going to affect a market that people have relied on for the longest time, because in 2023 it makes it harder to buy a controller, because sometimes a proprietary Xbox controller or even PlayStation or Nintendo, their controllers are $60-$70, which is for the general population the price of gas a lot of the time, for the price of groceries a lot of the time. And it's definitely a problem where third party companies make bootleg controllers to make it more accessible for the community, where third party controllers that are cheaper, that are more affordable, gets people's foot in the door to like go over to your friend's house, to go over family, and to have an extra controller when family come over. That was the bread and butter of controller of like gaming back in like the early 2000s, early 2010s, and that's gonna cause a pretty big wedge. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, like was that? Did you have when you had people come over? Did you have like a little milk carton box full of like just controllers of odds and ends?
Like only would ever have two controllers at a time top, so they usually stay just like plugged in or like on top of the PlayStation, something like that. I definitely didn't have like giant hordes of people coming over to play video games. For the most part, actually, I was probably the guy that would go over to someone else's house and use their console and whatnot.
Yeah. Would your friends have third party controllers as well?
No, no,
No.
that's the thing is, I feel like those people that are in the position to invite four friends over and play on their giant flat screen TV usually just were also able to buy the $60 controllers, as many as they want. Oh, hey mom, can I get another one for Christmas type of thing. Um, wasn't really my experience, so
And,
yeah, that's why I would probably be the kid that was mooching rather than the one inviting everyone.
and that like I grew up feeling like that was a sign of privilege. Like if you had the privilege to own a console and multiple controllers, you were the friend that you would the guy that invite people to come over. You'd be the guy that like say, hey guys, I got the new GoldenEye. Come over, let's play. And then that's how it works. And then if your family
Yeah,
didn't have time to like get a proprietary controller, the parents would just buy third party controllers to make it more accessible for their kids. So like this is quite targeting for the community. I do miss those days
I think
because
so. I think that there's to an extent like people that probably haven't experienced any sort of third party accessory because they've always been in a position to be like, oh, we'll just buy the normal one, and that's unfortunate for them because sometimes those third party controllers and accessories were better performing or just felt better in the hand than the proprietary versions.
yeah, that was the demographic. That was I remember even having like if you had a Mad Cat controller, you were oddly looked down upon and very excited for, because if you had the Mad Cat controller and nobody didn't, they would ask you for the official cheat before the cheats were like before Game Chart was even made. Uh, Mad Cat controllers I remember uh, were very important for certain games, like Final Fantasy Nine's jump rope game, where you had to mash that button like constantly to the sound of the rope, or mash even a simpler button during Budokai Tenkaichi, where the Mad Cat controller's turbo mode lets you hold the button and it would mimic the function of like pressing multiply, and you were on the verge of winning most of the time if your thumb didn't give out. So the Mad controller was like a hey, I got a turbo, let's go. that was my experience with gaming, and that was like, you're the guy with the Mac controller. I need your help. So even when it came to Mario Part, no, Super Mario 3. Super Mario 3 was a very big thing too. Even with like third party controllers, but it's really bad. Further down the article, it explains the other bullet points include players are reporting a warning message displayed on Xbox when plugging in unauthorized accessories, notifying them of the date their accessory will be blocked in error 0x82D60002. I that that highlight I'm wondering if that kind of happens when the moment you plug it in. Is it like it feels like, hey, by the way, as of this date, either nothing happens or your controller is like a one time pass and then no more. Which I don't understand the wording of it, unless you can, you know what it means. Because like it'll notify the date of their accessories, multiple accessories, will be blocked with that code. Huh. Xbox
Yeah, I
advises,
mean, it's just letting them know ahead of time.
which is good. Like I'm just wondering like how much of a head like they'll be given. But Xbox advises returning the accessories and instead referring to its list of authorized products. So that sounds like a paragraph, because by giving it a referred list of authorized products on the website, it's a way to drive consumers to partners like Razer, like is XM company Logitech. I'm thinking Logitech. Sorry. So things like Razer to Logitech, they have controllers that are that could be partnered to Xbox and be considered authorized, which is going to be a problem for a lot of people because like it because like for some people, like if you've had a controller that worked for like a couple of years and it almost feels like like a backstab for like, hey, that thing you invested in for a couple of years, nope, you can't use it no more. But how about this? You want to spend another $60-$70 on authorized products, and it might even be $80+ depending on the console or like the controllers too, which is really upsetting. The message is shown due to the latest console build, which is said to be causing console issues when using these third-party updates. So that is part for the course though. Like if you're not installing drivers to work on certain controllers, and that I can see where that is a problem. Like I remember I would have to like if I were to plug in my Nintendo controller, the computer automatically progs a install data for that driver to use a Nintendo controller, and as often as would use whenever I plug in a new PlayStation controller, it progs the installation of a driver to just allow the access. But I'm wondering if that's going to be a pressing issue going forward, where it's the concern is it are they going to tighten what authorized products are allowed, which might probably be the case.
I think they might end up expanding it, and I'm looking at the website right now. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
go on xbox.com/accessories, they make the Xbox Elite wireless
Elite.
controller, which I believe does have back buttons, because I do see a complete component pack that includes back buttons. So
Ooh, that's
that's
good for you.
something interesting there. They have a PDP Realms wired controller, which kind of reminds me of the Mad Catz kind of see-through style.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. And then also they have like some 8-bit do, like some other what would be referred to, I guess, as like a off-brand Xbox controller,
Mm-hmm.
including also ones from Afterglow, Victrix, Razer, which isn't surprising. And there is a Scuff controller on the website as well. No Evil controller, so they need to get their stuff together. But what that tells me is that they're going to be partnering with specific companies that are going to uphold the same quality control standards for their controllers. And
Mm-hmm.
so, from a quality control standpoint, I can understand the want for something like this. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, yeah, it does put certain people out of the threshold for being able to purchase a controller, even though there are controllers on the website made by some of these third-party companies that are as low as like $37.
37
Which
is the
I think
lowest.
37.99 is the lowest that I'm seeing. That's not on sale or anything. That's just the
Mm-hmm.
regular price, and I'm seeing the Elite controllers going for as low as 69.99, which isn't really that terrible. And that's, I guess, coming from someone who's spent like $200 on a controller before. So I don't know. I mean, I think there might still be options for people in a lower budget, and I think there's also options for people who are looking for a little bit more than what the standard controller would offer. But I think, yeah, they're just doing away with the third-party companies that may offer some sort of like rapid fire feature and stuff like that that might
Mm-hmm.
change the game for certain players.
Yeah, because like according to the article, I do remember that the majority of third-party controllers I would get and what's currently on the market prior to like learning about this is majority of most controllers are wired. So if you were to get like a Mad Cat controller prior to this, if you were to get like a Logitech or something similar, like if you got third party prior to this, the majority of the affordable controllers are wireless, are wired. So for them to say like, hey, we got these partners, we're gonna invest money into these partners, and as long as they pay the licensing to stay partnered with us, we're gonna work with them and like make wireless controllers on top of that to make more responsive controllers that are authorized. So I do agree where it's the company's way to maintain quality control for low income families. That mean that's it's definitely on the long run they can afford on the long run, but on the short hand, some people may not have the opportunity to do so because oftentimes like when you hold off on getting something and you're saving up money for that, that tends to escape your mind because priorities come up. So unless you have a family of like a couple of kids that are living the Xbox life, I do see where that can help. But it does bring up issues either way because especially for the fighting game community, there's a lot of third party control. There's a lot of third party like fight sticks. And just recently, there was a fight stick that was introduced that had no analog joystick, but it was just buttons. And unless I've been unless you saw it on your cursor search, but I haven't found any websites that uh, make make fight sticks. Razer I think has one, but I don't know a lot of like well known.
Definitely some out there for sure. I mean, Xbox on their website, they have one. Um, Actually, they have a couple. Ones that look actually pretty old school, ones that offer kind of a newer style approach to that.
Mm-hmm.
They have like adaptive controllers as well, which I think might be helpful for certain people with disabilities
Disabilities.
of some kind. That's actually another. Sorry, I keep having to shout out evil controllers on stuff,
Yeah,
but
please
that's
do.
actually why
Keep shouting it out.
that's how
That's
I
important
found
to
them.
you.
Is
Yeah.
that's one of the things that they do is like if you have like a disability and like something that is very specific to you, you can reach out to Evil Controller and they will figure out a way to make a controller that works for you and gets you into a position where you can be able to play games. Whether that be like, oh, you don't have hands. Like I've seen them make controllers that are used like your mouth is the means for controlling it. You can make feet controllers, like all that kind of stuff, and that's how I found out about the company. And one of the reasons why I really like supporting them is because they're able to do that for people that otherwise wouldn't be able to play games. But it looks like Xbox, at least to an extent, tries to do something similar. I see something that looks like foot pedals. The adaptive controller looks a little interesting. This is where I'm also seeing like their joystick style stuff, fight sticks, flight sticks as well. wheels, for racing and stuff like that. The one thing I'll say though is all these wheels and flight control sticks, for playing games like Microsoft Flight Simulator, they're really expensive. And so if
Yeah.
those third-party companies aren't able to create something um, that you're able to utilize with those games, then I do think that that's going to be an issue for a lot of people.
Yeah, because that definitely brings an axe towards community. Because, by the way, like, just so for everyone, you in the comments, I'm not distracted. Brian's very beautiful, but I need to make sure that while I'm talking with him and he's running it and he is explaining his situation and his opinion, I'm taking notes to then reach back to. And what I'm remembering as I'm moving head back and forth is that third party third party companies were a big what is the word? They third party companies opened the door for disabilities for people who like he mentioned like you mentioned before, made controllers that were mouth used. I can remember two separate times. There was a in the past 5 years, 8 years, there was a streamer that all he could really do was play games in his bed because he had problems from the waist down or like neck down. But we would see him I would hear of him having streams where he would play fighting games or WoW using a mouth controller because he was bedridden. And I remember during college, I had a friend who was an amputee, and at the time there was no accessible way for him to play Monster Hunter Try for the 3DS, but he made it work. He used his stubble to like do the analog, and he had a third party company release an attachment so that he can use his right hand to use the buttons, and the button would be mapped to everything that the left hand couldn't have done. And so he would like just use his no nubble. He like sorry, I'm coughing. He would like say for example, this is my controller, right? He would have his stubble, play with the analog at the same time, like develop eventually arthritis, but he would like masterfully like do button movements on the controller. And a year after like him playing like that, he had a third party make a controller for a particular situation, which again I see multiple booths at PAX, at Tokyo game shows, at conventions where they're promoting controllers for disabilities. And there's even a controller that is a cube, but it's mapped in a certain way to where it makes games, general games, accessible for people to play. Uh, if you're one-handed, you can definitely play games like that. There was a random post on Facebook where someone was using his foots to play on a GameCube controller, and I don't know the magic of how one would do that, but he was able to map it. And third party companies were a great access for people to be a part of a community that they thought that they couldn't be part of anymore. When my friend like lost his hand, he was from when the same friend for a moment he was distraught about losing his hand, and for a time he was really depressed, but he was fortunate enough to then force himself into the community by doing those like situations of like setting up a controller so that he can use his nub to use the controller. And for some third parties, that allowed him to play more comfortably. And I don't know what the current market is where with like big companies like Razer or what is it, Evil controllers, or like they've been around for a pretty long time, right? And they've since been making like they started making accessible controllers, I would assume, for a while.
Yeah, I think that's how they got their start,
Yeah,
honestly.
and there's even people who have like there's a weird claw machine where if you put your hand into it, there's certain functions. There's like it's like a 360 controller where um certain buttons would just be clawed over his hand, so he like a knuckle can press a button, or like an extension can push a button. It's a thing I saw on like Nocturne Wolf's channel that has a controller like that, and that's a third party controller, like on paper. So I don't know if that company is barred from it, but that still brings a big problem, especially when there's other streamers that made like a massively expensive setup for just truck simulator. He would have monitors covering him from left to right, and pedals and wheel, and he was like he very much looked like someone who was like driving a truck, and I can't say if that is a authorized company now, but that brings a problem for him in particular because he I don't know if my trucking streamer can actually use consoles Xbox controllers now, because if that error occurs on consoles, how much time will it take for it to be on an error on PCs? And that's like a big concern, is what I'm hearing, or at least understanding and thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would imagine because it's all under the Microsoft umbrella that eventually that might be the case, which is disappointing for sure. But based on it being a PC, there's a lot of like programs that you can install to kind of work around certain Microsoft limitations, and I don't see why this would be all that different. I feel like you could almost similarly how you could download like an emulator and be able to play Nintendo games on PC. I feel like you might be able to download some sort of controller emulator and have your controller run through a software which then tells Microsoft that it's something that it's not.
Yeah, that's
You know that would be possible.
That is the pursuit to piracy that a lot of people have the access to do. And by all means, to program a controller to spoof and trick Xbox consoles that, hey, I'm a licensed controller, I swear I'm licensed, and let you pass through the borders that Xbox is creating. That is always going to be like the pursuit to piracy in that kind of form is going to be it's going to exponentially grow, because back in the day like people have pirated content for as long as people can remember, because for some small communities, pirating content and pirating access to content was a way for them to receive it when they don't have the money. That when you have a set of income that doesn't allow for that kind of break from schedule, you have to find ways around it, and that's where people would do the emulators. People would do things to make content that they wanted to be a part of accessible, and for them to make this barrier, it's I respect that the company wants a proprietary way to maintain consistency and to make it more PC. Like, hey, like starting today, you can't bring your third party controllers unless you have one of our authorized users. That's great. That's for the company. It's great, but it does hurt the consumer, and not many of the consumers have access to proprietary controllers. Sorry to spoil it for you, Xbox. But there was an update today, the 30th. Microsoft spokesman has responded to the questions for comments on the new policy, which is affecting certain manufacturers in the coming weeks. Microsoft and other licensed hardware partner accessories are designed and manufactured with quality standards for performance, security, and safety. I can understand the security because if you were to modify a controller, there's no guarantee that the modifications can't invite a virus that came from modding, which I can understand. Unauthorized accessories can compromise the gaming experience on the controller. On Xbox consoles, players may receive a pop-up with a warning eventually. The unauthorized accessory will be blocked from use to preserve the console's gaming experience. I can understand where like it's meant to be like a deterrent to like protect the software, because there have been situations to where a problem in the programming of modded content has actually caused a problem for the content as a whole. Case in point, there'd been, I don't know the percentage, but there is a percentage where sometimes the yellow light of death, the red ring of destruction, has progged because of situations leading up to it where you invite the third party or the pirated content or the pirated like controller. The modifications earlier in its life has actually led to a small percentage of rings of death. So that this I feel like this is their answer to avoid rings of death. But again, there's a large majority of consumers that can't access that even then, and that limits access, which is a big issue. So like I feel like that's gonna make a wedge where people won't go to Xbox because there's no access to it. Like it's gonna get more expensive being an Xbox player.
Yeah, it definitely will. I mean, I'm not like too surprised though. It does kind of seem like the sort of thing that they would do to sort of like gatekeep what other companies offer,
Mm-hmm.
um, and keep everything in house. I think it's a bad idea though, and the reason I say that is I think other companies, if it weren't for other companies making controllers with back buttons on them, Xbox would not be offering one right now.
Yeah.
And so think that there's a lot of things you can learn from other companies who are doing things that maybe you hadn't even thought about yet, and they're gonna completely miss the mark if they don't allow those companies to improve upon designs that are currently in place.
Mm-hmm. And that's definitely that I see that as a long term like wedge through the community, and it's just too bad because I respect that they want to protect their product, but that's at the expense of their consumers who are buying their content because they will not no large company will be where they're at if it weren't for their consumer from the average Joe who wants to come home after their 9 to 5 and pop on the Xbox and who wants to uh, maybe go. It's the same kind of gatekeeping that was a problem when it came to um, it. It definitely affected. It definitely affects games the moment you affect the tool that you're playing with. Case in point, um, Diablo 4. Diablo 4 evolved into a casual game from because of like the ability the easy you can act because of the ease of access, and it's just like it hurt the game, and that was from like a larger problem that if from a smaller problem of like controller access and everything. But I'm probably I'm tangenting, sorry. But to further follow the comments, there's been some people like there's people like Mudahar and Maximilian commenting where Mudahar says between Sony's dumb decisions of requiring online to install a piece of hardware and Microsoft's limiting options on consoles, it's good reminder to embrace PC gaming. And PC gaming is king because of Sony's gatekeeping through requiring online access and Microsoft's limiting options like this. Um, he said Linux is gaining ground in gaming at a rapid pace, and building an average system isn't going to set you back like it once did, which a majority of a decent to start PC game to begin with, it's like what $1,500 to $1,000 for like a decent build, and if you build more than 1,500, you're at that point making a game like a purpose specific PC. But like the access of gaming is so much more accessible on a computer, where in order to play for me, in order to play Monster Hunter online, I have to have a subscription to PlayStation. But if I played online with friends on Steam on PC, there's no gatekeeping. I can just freely play Paladins on PC and not require a subscription to anything else but my general internet access. But it does have its
Yeah,
problems.
yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely interesting. It'll be interesting to see how far they take that.
Yeah, because like I'm just like I'm as someone who converted recently, there's a lot of things I'm concerned about. It's because like case in point, it's definitely um brought concerns to me because I want to play the newest Monster Hunter, but if I were to keep all my copies of Monster Hunter on PC, I can then play online for it. But I have the option to where if I were to just buy the bundle before it expires, I can already access online content on PlayStation if I just bought it on PlayStation. But that limits accessibility, and that's the core issue right now is accessibility. So that's just really tough for someone who is in my situation. Um, let's see. What is Mudahar mentioned that Linux gaming has more serious strides and continues to do so. Pretty agreeable. Granted, anti cheats in some very new technologies like DLS SFG remains locked to the window drivers and OS. Is not as bad as you think. Um, the cost of a mid-range system will be cheaper when you factor in most game discounts and the lack of sub fees for most online services. Where, which I do agree because for me to maintain my subscription to PlayStation, I have to pay about 100 plus, like maybe like no $90 a year in Game Pass. But like even then, Game Pass is about $100, 115. But the library is so much better in retrospect. So like it's this form of gatekeeping through accessibility has been a big issue lately. And this is this news is definitely, according to Maximilian, a essentially a death sentence to local fighting game events that run on Xbox, much less others that can only afford one arcade stick because they're very expensive. Did you notice the price tag on the fighting stick you saw earlier?
I don't think it was too crazy. I want to say it was under 100.
Like under
I
100
mean,
for a basic fight stick. Okay.
I don't remember, and I think there was two, if I remember correctly.
Okay, that's fine. Cuz like that's he says the Brook gaming fans converters are not cheap devices. They're a huge boon to FGC, which like if you don't know what they are you familiar with Brook gaming converters?
Broke gaming converters.
Brook. B R
Brook,
O.
no.
Okay. Because like they make because essentially my friend the other Ryan that we know about he is a fighting game advocate, and he had, in order to cross play between consoles, he needed a converter because if you buy a fight stick is either programmed to play through Linux, through Xbox, or PlayStation, depending on the console. And this converter allows you to switch between programs to make it more accessible. So for someone like Z, he plays on all consoles, right? He wants to like throw down with his controller, whether they're playing PC or console, and this converter is a tool that he has to use. Otherwise, he would have to maintain five fight sticks, and each of them are like maybe $100 for like a good one, $100 plus depending on like the quality of fight stick, depending on the size and scheming and adjustability of like buttons. There, he has one specific fighting stick that he really likes to use, and I believe he bought the converter from them. It allows him to play his favorite fight stick on certain consoles, and it's a problem where if he doesn't have the converter, he has to buy a specific one several times, and it's redundant. It saves people's money from redundancy. And it's not a cheating device, but you can't just program a converter to do what you think it's going to be doing. But that is a big wedge in the community, even if it's not fighting game specific. Because I doubt disability accessible controllers. Yeah, I feel like you would have to buy multiple controllers for multiple consoles, right?
Uh, well, maybe not. I think you'd probably have to buy a different one if you're going from like PlayStation to Xbox, but not if you're going, say, like Xbox to PC or PlayStation to PC.
Mm-hmm. Because that's definitely a big issue. Because, especially, I don't remember when they made the Switch, but there was a time where, the connector from console to from controller to console was different. PlayStation had a different connector to that of Xbox to that of GameCube, and it took like maybe 2015, 2013 for everything to be USB connected, and that was a game changer that prevented um, gatekeeping. But even then, like even if you plug in a USB uh, PlayStation controller into an Xbox, there's still that problem of the driver's installation they have to work around. But for this, it's going to be a major issue. It's still an ongoing situation, but I don't know where they're gonna go from here. But what do you think?
I mean, I think it's kind of tough to say right now, but it's nice that we're on top of it as the news is coming out, because we might be able to revisit it, in the future as more info comes out about this, and we really learn, which companies and who specifically is going to be cut out of the more or less Xbox family, or
Okay, because I'm
PC
gonna
family for that matter. We'll see. I mean, that's going to be interesting too, is to see how this affects the PC landscape as well.
I'm gonna I just clicked on the link of accessories that's supported on Xbox controllers, but I don't know where the link is to companies that are partnered with them yet. I don't see the link for companies that are authorized with Xbox.
Xbox.com/accessories.
Slash accessories. Okay. Slash.
And I wouldn't say it's like a list. That's just where I was able to see some other companies.
Okay. But yeah. Okay, and you. That's your. My final thoughts on the topic, at least, is like. It hurts me from a nostalgia standpoint, but it affects the larger. For me, this is going to be affecting the larger landscape of gaming and gaming content, regardless of what platform you're on. Like, I know this is technically a feud between Xbox and PlayStation, and Nintendo's in their corner because Nintendo's Nintendo, as the phrasing goes. But this decision from Microsoft is affecting everybody who's in the gaming space, and I'm gonna be looking at this article, and I'm gonna keep tabs on it because this is a growing issue, and I'm concerned for what this might like blow up into. I don't know. But what do you guys think? Yeah, what do you guys think in the comments? Let us know in the comments down below what your thoughts are, if you have any comments. And yeah, you can find us here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, my name's Tyler. I'm your friend, and I'll see you next time. Bye.